What up guys, this is Monkey Figure Reviews and today we are going to unbox the Ichiban Kuji EX One Piece Girls Collection Glitter of Ha, Price A and Last Price figures of Yamato. We have previously talked about Black Maria and Uzi from the same series and we're now moving on to the remaining two figures from this Ichiban Kuji. Before we get started, a quick shout out to our figure provider, Chronicles Inc. If you've never heard of Chronicles Inc., they are a local Singapore shop that sells figures and toys. I've been buying most of my One Piece figures from them for a few years now. They are an excellent shop, they are very reliable and they have a wide selection. And not only do they sell locally, they also ship overseas. So if you're interested to find out more about them or want to buy some figures, play some Ichiban Kujis, go ahead to their website to check them out or visit their social media handles like Facebook and Instagram. Looking at the box, right at the front we have our character name, Yamato, over here and over here. And of course version A is the Yamato that we know her now. And the last one price, this is before the face review. We have an image of the figures we are gonna get inside. Left side of the box and we have more pictures, more angles of the figures. The left one is definitely more cheerful with the colors and designs. And the right one is a bit more artistic with the black background. The other side we have our Kuji title and we also have a close-up on our figures, faces and features. Back of the box with full images of our figures and also some instructions at the bottom telling us how to put certain parts together. Top of the box we have our white toy stickers to prove its authenticity. As you can see, the boxes are brand new and sealed. We are going to do the unboxing together. Let's go! This is how the figures look like when taken out of the box. They mainly come in three pieces: the main body, Yamato's weapon and a supporting stand. And it seems that this supporting stand is not exactly necessary to display this figure, it is just to provide additional support. This is how the figures look like when put together. First impressions, I gotta say I really appreciate the dynamic attacking mid-air, mid-action pose they've given Yamato. I think that is really cool. However, I want to mention this point which I mentioned in my big news video for this Ichiban Kuji. For Yamato, Price A, I kind of find that her expression doesn't really fit well with that dynamic pose. Over here, she's just giving a little smile. It's almost as if she's in a casual photo shoot, so it doesn't really fit well with the whole vibes coming off from her pose. Unlike the last one version, with the mask, very scary looking mask, very intimidating. I think that fits a lot better. As far as I can tell, the main differences between these two figures is just the upper body sculpt. Obviously the outfit is different. Here we have the longer sleeves, the full kimono, and here you can see Yamato's face. The other one we only can see the mask. The hair is also different as well. We can see the full length of Yamato's hair over here, and on this one it's just something like the dark blue, tealish mane that is a bit short, doesn't go as far back as the one here. Other than that, I think like the weapons, the effects, the bottom of the base, the skirts is pretty much the same on both sides. Let's take a closer look at the figures starting from the head sculpt. In terms of character likeness, I feel like this is honestly not the best over here. Doesn't really look like Yamato that much. Something is a bit off while trying to capture her likeness. Beyond that, it kind of seems to me that the facial proportions is also really off. Her eyes are too big, which in turn makes me feel like the lower half of her face is a bit too small, so it's throwing off the whole looks, the whole likeness. At least that's what it's showing me. Details wise, if we just talk about the printing of the eyes, the coloring of the eyes, I think that is still okay, that is still decent. The nose is well shaped, the lips, the mouth, those are okay. At the side you can see her ears, which is not exactly well finished with golden earrings. Talking about her horns and her hair, I think you can see here there's some sort of like smudge going on, paint smudging. And even right at the front here, there's some black greyish dirt marks on the white part, which is very, very obvious. QC wise, it doesn't really seem like they are trying to do their best cleaning up some of these little errors. Overall, the painting on the horns is still decent. We can see the transition from orange to deep red. Yamato's hair, we can see the strands sculpted, and you can see the color transition from white to teal to ocean blue. Same here at the top, though we can spot some weird seam lines over here, and even a connection around the hairpins for the other hair pieces. Back of the hair, I think here is a lot better, capturing the massive volume of Yamato's hair. And of course you can see all those individual strands sculpted, the flow of them to give it some motion. And again, the color transition from white to teal to sky blue to ocean blue, all of that is really well done. And finishing overall is fairly decent, even though there are still some weird seam lines going across certain areas. Moving on to her body, perhaps we'll just start off with her neck first. There's a very obvious neck issue which a lot of people have mentioned, and that is having a much elongated neck than usual, or than what she has. So no idea why it happened. Could be poor sculpt, could be poor fitting of pieces during the final production. It looks to me that they have to cut off about probably half a cm or more to make her neck look more normal to how she is. And here, from certain angles, especially from afar, it just looks really, really weird. The outfit is pretty decent, with the coloring of the red over here nicely done, and the rest of the top whites in color. It does have a bit of a light violet gradient to show a bit of shading and shadowing across. And generally this painting here for the logos and the designs, those are quite well done. I do still see a lot of smudges, a lot of like dirt marks across the areas. I'm not sure why it has so many. It kind of makes the figure look very dirty, look very patchy. I am not liking the QC so far on this figure. The side of her body, so you can see more side boob, and also more smudges and more dirt. Same for the other side. Let me show you guys. Generally, I would say her chest is really well shaped. I think it's not Yamato without the side boobs, so those are quite well done. Of course, we also have the rope ribbon tie around Yamato, similar to the one on Oden, and you can just see the colors in general, white and violet. A lot of errors here also with the painting, as you can see, like over here and over here, sort of over painting across their supposed boundaries. The texturing, you can definitely feel all these lines sculpted onto them to make it feel a bit rough, I guess similar to how it would feel in real life. And at the back and at the end of the ropes, this is exceptionally rough. That is intentional. Bottom half of Yamato, we have this red skirts looking thing with huge slits at the side, showing a bit of Yamato's thighs, Yamato's skin, and of course a bit of the top running down towards this side. And you can see some of the shading on there. Nicely done. I gotta say the connections between the parts here are not seamless at all. Like over here, there's a huge significant gap. And once you notice that, it looks weird as hell. It looks really, really weird. The other side is a lot better, but over here we can see some sort of smudging and scratches on the designs from the top. The rest of the skirts, I would say it is really, really well done with the hyper-realism they try to give, especially with the creases, the folds of it. And of course, some areas like in the middle here, we have darker shadowing across. Same for over here, and you can really just appreciate how wonderfully positioned it is just to capture Yamato's movements. That is so well done. At the bottom you can see Yamato's legs. It's a bit difficult for me to get them on camera, but you can see that she's wearing those wooden sandals. The toenails are sculpted on, a little bit of details there, and there's nothing really much for you to see right at the bottom because the skirt itself basically just connects to both leg pieces that comes out of nowhere. The base is just a blue swirly effect that supports her. on both her feet. So not a lot of details here with coloring and shading. You can just see the sculpt for yourself, which is really well done too. Lastly, her hands here holding her weapon, and I would say the details on them are minimal. For the weapon, it does have a glossy, shiny finishing on it, giving a very reflective look. And the texturing, they added all these tiny indents on the weapon just to give it a iron cast effect. So here we have the purple lightning streaks just moving towards that direction, and finishing wise, coloring wise is pretty good. For the last price, Yamato, I am just gonna quickly run through the areas which are different from the price A. And first one, of course, is the face with this Oni mask on. And here the details, honestly, it looks amazing. It is really well done. I dig it. Even though there are some glue marks at the top here, the shiny parts, those are actually liquid glue. They are not some special effects added on. The eyes are fantastic, and even though it is really small and difficult to paint, I feel that they really done their best trying to color the yellow ring. Some wrinkles and folds around the nose and nose bridge area, which is really well done. The shape of the high cheekbones. Looking at the mouth, we have the yellow teeth, the yellow jaws, the two teeth protruding out. Those are nicely painted and nicely sculpted. The horns here are actually even better than the one on price A, with these lines added to give texturing. This were not present on the price A Yamato, and I really like that because it really fits the realism style of the figure. Coloring again well done, transition from orange to red. This figure also doesn't have the neck issue. Maybe it's because of the size of the head or the way they position it, so the proximity from the body is not that large, so it's not that weird. Yamato's hair here is more of a greenish blue, sort of like a darker teal, and the way it's sculpted is definitely much more like a lion's mane, you know, just kind of messy and going all around. So you can see the sculpt overall, those are generally well done with the strands sculpted onto them. Towards the back, the hair definitely looks much more messy and random with how they move, how they position compared to the other Yamato. And from what I can tell, honestly, not a lot of shading going on to show more color depth. Since we are here, I will just quickly show you guys the handcuffs on this Yamato. It's nothing really to shout about, but texturing wise, some areas they do try to give it a bit of a metalwork effect. Her outfits here not as revealing, so we can see more of the designs on the kimono much more. All very well printed and painted on. Just that once again, across some of the white areas, it seems to me there are still some smudges, some dirt marks across, which makes it look very unclean, look very unfinished. The creases and the folds are absolutely fantastic, and once again the positioning of the sleeves really helps to capture and seal in Yamato's dynamic movements here. Towards the sides we can still see a bit of mispaint going on. Over here as well, white mark on both sides. Some white paint smudging on the outfit towards the thighs. Connections between the different parts here are okay. Same for this side, which is a lot better than price A Yamato. Similar issues with the rope at the back, with the paint not exactly being very tidy, some parts not painted well, and some parts smudging onto other areas. Rest of the figure, like her weapon, the effects, and also the bottom, I don't see any differences. The height of these figures from the bottom to the top, that is around 23.5 cm, around 9 1/4 inches. If you're just talking to the top of her head, not the horns, just the top of her head, that is around 20.5 cm, a bit more than 8 inches. Here I've taken out my Luffy Extra Battle Figuarts Zero figure so we can do a little bit of scale comparison. And honestly, I think it is a pretty good fit. It is a pretty good lineup. Maybe if I put this Luffy next to this Yamato, you can see that they look quite good next to each other, especially with the size variance that Yamato is supposedly bigger than Luffy. Here I've also taken out my Ichiban Kuji Boundman figure in case you're wondering how they look like next to each other. Scale wise is probably not the best, but if you're looking at just similar style with the hyper-realism, lining them up next to each other, it's honestly not that bad. Here are some of my CreatorXCreator scale figures. This is obviously the OG CreatorXCreator Zoro. This is Ichiban Kuji Blossom Nico Robin, I believe. And this is the Figure Colosseum Nami wedding figure. To me, honestly, Yamato is really close to the CreatorXCreator guys, so definitely they will look great together. Last but not least, the full lineup of all the figures in this Ichiban Kuji series. They will make for a good display on their own. If you are specific about scale, I think Oni Uchi and the Yamatos will look good next to each other. Black Maria Sykes, like I mentioned in her video, is much more closer to the POPs and the newer GNGs. Guys, I forgot to mention that the base themselves are not exactly very stable. So for example, just by me touching a little bit over here, you can see that the figures are wobbling front and back. It's quite a significant wobble, but I don't think they will topple at all. I don't think they will collapse. But it is just very annoying because I don't think such a thing is supposed to happen at all. It is the same for the Uchi figure. It has the same issue. The sculpt of the base is not flat at all, hence you have this wobbling thing. And I did try to use a supporting stand, which by the way just goes onto here. It just holds onto a part of the skirts, and it doesn't help at all. It doesn't help, so I have no idea what the supporting stand is even for in this case. I just thought I mentioned that so that you guys would know. Alright, in conclusion, I feel that production on these figures is just not very good from what I'm seeing. I'm not sure other figures that you guys got out there have the same problems with the paints, the smudging in certain areas, some of the finishing, some of the connection area, for example like the slits over here on this Yamato's right side. Usually if it's just one or two areas we can close one eye, but it seems like it's popping up a lot around the whole figure, and I do not like that at all, especially with the prices that are being quoted for these figures on the aftermarket. I feel like it is not exactly worth your money. If I really have to recommend one out of these two, I will definitely choose the last one price. Because just with the mask, you know, the different head sculpts, first of all, I feel that you get a much more fitting vibe coming up from this whole figure, especially in this attacking pose. And here the mask, the details just look so much better than this Yamato face. No neck issues as well, and it almost seems like the neck is angled in a much more appropriate way to show the attack done by Yamato. So overall, sculpt wise, you know, as a display, as a figure, it just comes together a lot better than this Yamato. Okay, that's all I have. As usual, let me know what you guys think of these figures in the comments section below. If you like my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share them with your friends. If you're new here, you like what I'm doing, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell notifications button so you don't miss out on new videos like this. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with me. I will see you very soon. Goodbye.